Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Your basis for belief or disbelief. Knowledge on which to base belief. A justification for something existing or happening. The enclosed land around a house or other building. A tract of land cleared for some special purposes, recreation or burial, etc. Dregs consisting of solid particles, especially of coffee, that form a residue. It is a Middle Eastern custom to read your future in your coffee grounds. Provide evidence for. Provide evidence for. Stand as proof of. Show by one's behavior, attitude, or external attributes. Give evidence. Your basis for belief or disbelief. Knowledge on which to base belief. The evidence that smoking causes lung cancer is very compelling. An indication that makes something evident. His trembling was evidence of his fear. Law. All the means by which any alleged matter of fact whose truth is investigated at judicial trial is established or disproved. Any entity that produces an effect or is responsible for events or results. Give rise to. Cause to happen or occur, not always intentionally. Cause a commotion. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. Cause to do. Cause to act in a specified manner. A series of actions advancing a principle or tending toward a particular end. They worked in the cause of world peace. A justification for something existing or happening. He had no cause to complain. Events that provide the generative force that is the origin of something. They are trying to determine the cause of the crash. Present reasons and arguments. A rational motive for a belief or action. The reason that war was declared. The state of having good sense and sound judgment. He had to rely less on reason than on rousing their emotions. Decide by reasoning. Draw or come to a conclusion. We reasoned that it was cheaper to rent than to buy a house. The capacity for rational thought or inference or discrimination. We are told that man is endowed with reason and capable of distinguishing good from evil. A justification for something existing or happening. They had good reason to rejoice. A fact that logically justifies some premise or conclusion. There is reason to believe he is lying. An explanation of the cause of some phenomenon. The reason a steady state was never reached was that the back pressure built up too slowly. Think logically. The children must learn to reason. The enclosed land around a house or other building. A unit of volume, as for sand or gravel. A unit of length equal to 3 feet, defined as 91.44 centimeters, originally taken to be the average length of a stride. The cardinal number that is the product of 10 and 100. An area having a network of railway tracks and sidings for storage and maintenance of cars and engines. The enclosed land around a house or other building. It was a small house with almost no yard. A long horizontal spar tapered at the end and used to support and spread a square sail or lateen. An enclosure for animals, as chicken or livestock. A tract of land enclosed for particular activities, sometimes paved and usually associated with buildings. They opened a repair yard on the edge of town. A tract of land where logs are accumulated. A message received and understood. Communication theory. A numerical measure of the uncertainty of an outcome. The signal contained thousands of bits of information. A collection of facts from which conclusions may be drawn. Formal accusation of a crime. Knowledge acquired through study or experience or instruction. A statement in explanation of some action or belief. Something, such as a fact or circumstance, that shows an action to be reasonable or necessary. He considered misrule a justification for revolution. The act of defending or explaining or making excuses for by reasoning. The justification of barbarous means by holy ends. A branch of knowledge. A particular kind of commercial enterprise. They are outstanding in their field. The area that is visible, as through an optical instrument. A particular environment or walk of life. The space around a radiating body within which its electromagnetic oscillations can exert force on another similar body not in contact with it. A piece of land prepared for playing a game. The home crowd cheered when Princeton took the field. A place where planes take off and land. Extensive tract of level open land. He longed for the fields of his youth. A region where a battle is being, or has been, fought. They made a tour of Civil War battlefields. A region in which active military operations are in progress. The army was in the field awaiting action. A geographic region, land or sea, under which something valuable is found. The diamond fields of South Africa. All of the horses in a particular horse race. All the competitors in a particular contest or sporting event. Answer adequately or successfully. The lawyer fielded all questions from the press. A piece of land cleared of trees and usually enclosed. He planted a field of wheat. Catch or pick up balls in baseball or cricket. Computer science. A set of one or more adjacent characters comprising a unit of information. Mathematics. A set of elements such that addition and multiplication are commutative and associative and multiplication is distributive over addition and there are two elements 0 and 1. The set of all rational numbers as a field. Play as a fielder. Select, a team or individual player, for a game. The Buckeyes fielded a young new quarterback for the Rose Bowl. Somewhere, away from a studio or office or library or laboratory, where practical work is done or data is collected. Anthropologists do much of their work in the field. An extended area of land. A bundle of myelinated nerve fibers following a path through the brain. A brief treatise on a subject of interest, published in the form of a booklet. An extended area of land. A system of body parts that together serve some particular purpose. An extended area of land. A collection of things wrapped or boxed together. A wrapped container. The allotment of some amount by dividing something. An extended area of land. Cover with strips of canvas. Parcel rope. Divide into parts. The developers parceled the land. Make into a wrapped container. An extended area of land. Sediment that has settled at the bottom of a liquid. Sediment that has settled at the bottom of a liquid. Any factual evidence that helps to establish the truth of something. Law. Evidence sufficient to warrant an arrest or search and seizure. A magistrate determined that there was probable cause to search the house. The act of validating, finding or testing the truth of something. Any factual evidence that helps to establish the truth of something. If you have any proof for what you say, now is the time to produce it. Printing. An impression made to check for errors. Read for errors. I should proofread my manuscripts. Activate by mixing with water and sometimes sugar or milk. Proof yeast. A formal series of statements showing that if one thing is true, something else necessarily follows from it. A measure of alcoholic strength expressed as an integer twice the percentage of alcohol present, by volume. A trial photographic print from a negative. Need to reach proper lightness. Proof dough. Make or take a proof of, such as a photographic negative, an etching, or typeset. Make resistant to harm. Proof the materials against shrinking in the dryer. Used in combination or as a suffix, able to withstand. Temptation proof. The speech act of answering an attack on your assertions. His refutation of the charges was short and persuasive. The act of determining that something is false. Any evidence that helps to establish the falsity of something. The act of determining that something is false. Any evidence that helps to establish the falsity of something. The act of rendering something false is by fraudulent changes, of documents or measures etc., or counterfeiting. A willful perversion of facts. The act of determining that something is false. Any evidence that helps to establish the falsity of something. Structure displaying a board on which advertisements can be posted. The highway was lined with signboards. A perceptible indication of something not immediately apparent, as a visible clue that something has happened. He showed signs of strain. Mark with one signature. Write one's name, on. She signed the letter and sent it off. Make the sign of the cross over someone in order to call on God for protection. Consecrate. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Signals from the boat suddenly stopped. Engage by written agreement. They signed 2 new pitchers for the next season. Used of the language of the deaf. An event that is experienced as indicating important things to come. It was a sign from God. Approve and express assent, responsibility, or obligation. Have you signed your contract yet? Communicate silently and non-verbally by signals or signs. He signed his disapproval with a dismissive hand gesture. Astrology, one of 12 equal areas into which the zodiac is divided. Having an indicated pole, as the distinction between positive and negative electric charges. Charges of opposite sign. A character indicating a relation between quantities. Don't forget the minus sign. A fundamental linguistic unit linking a signifier to that which is signified. The bond between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. A gesture that is part of a sign language. A public display of a message. He posted signs in all the shop windows. Be engaged by a written agreement. He signed to play the casino on December 18. Communicate in sign language. I don't know how to sign, so I could not communicate with my deaf cousin. Medicine. Any objective evidence of the presence of a disorder or disease. There were no signs of asphyxiation. Place signs, as along a road. Sign an intersection. Anything that accompanies X and is regarded as an indication of X's existence. Medicine. Any sensation or change in bodily function that is experienced by a patient and is associated with a particular disease. Any road or path affording passage, especially a rough one. Computer science. One of the circular magnetic paths on a magnetic disk that serve as a guide for writing and reading data. Travel across or pass over. Go after with the intent to catch. The act of participating in an athletic competition involving running on a track. An endless metal belt on which tracked vehicles move over the ground. A course over which races are run. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. The title track of the album. A line or route along which something travels or moves. The track of an animal. A bar or pair of parallel bars of rolled steel making the railway along which railroad cars or other vehicles can roll. A groove on a phonograph recording. A pair of parallel rails providing a runway for wheels. Carry on the feet and deposit. Track mud into the house. Make tracks upon. Observe or plot the moving path of something. Track a missile. Be in charge of. The introductory section of a story. It was an amusing lead-in to a very serious matter. Take somebody somewhere. We lead him to our chief. Produce as a result or residue. Be conducive to. The use of computers in the classroom lead to better writing. Lead, as in the performance of a composition. A jumper that consists of a short piece of wire. It was a tangle of jumper cables and clip leads. A news story of major importance. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. Lead, extend, or afford access. Move ahead of others, in time or space. Preside over. A soft, heavy, toxic, malleable metallic element. Bluish-white when freshly cut but tarnishes readily to dull gray. The children were playing with lead soldiers. Cause something to pass or lead somewhere. Stretch out over a distance, space, time, or scope. Run or extend between 2 points or beyond a certain point. Be ahead of others. Be the first. An actor who plays a principal role. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. The police are following a promising lead. Thin strip of metal used to separate lines of type in printing. Restraint consisting of a rope, or light chain, used to restrain an animal. The timing of ignition relative to the position of the piston in an internal combustion engine. An indication of potential opportunity. A good lead for a job. Mixture of graphite with clay in different degrees of hardness. The marking substance in a pencil. An advantage held by a competitor in a race. He took the lead at the last turn. A position of being the initiator of something and an example that others will follow, especially in the phrase, take the lead. He takes the lead in any group. Baseball. The position taken by a base runner preparing to advance to the next base. He took a long lead off first. Cause to undertake a certain action. Sports. The score by which a team or individual is winning. Tend to or result in. This remark lead to further arguments among the guests. The angle between the direction a gun is aimed and the position of a moving target, correcting for the flight time of the missile. The playing of a card to start a trick in bridge. The lead was in the dummy. To lag or linger behind. Go after with the intent to catch. Move, proceed, or walked draggingly or slowly. John trailed behind his classmates. Drag loosely along a surface. Allow to sweep the ground. The toddler was trailing his pants. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. The trail led straight to the perpetrator. A path or track roughly blazed through wild or hilly country. A track or mark left by something that has passed. There is a trail of blood. Hang down so as to drag along the ground. The bride's veiled trailed along the ground. The grounds in back of the house. A yard outside the front or rear door of a house. The yard in front of a house, between the house and the street. A plot of ground where plants are cultivated. A yard or lawn adjoining a house. The flowers or vegetables or fruits or herbs that are cultivated in a garden. The usual or familiar type. It is a common or garden sparrow. Work in the garden. My hobby is gardening.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.